Welcome to the Good Mood Show. I'm your host, Matt O'Neill. Be sure to hit subscribe so you get a good mood every single week. Today, we are talking with Sherianna Boyle, who is a coach, a speaker, an adjunct psychology professor, and the author of 10 books, including her smash hit, Emotional Detox. That book was rated as one of the top 10 life-changing books of all time by Parade magazine. And her groundbreaking book has now over 600 five-star reviews on Amazon. She's followed that up with a new book called Energy in Action, where she takes her cleanse method for clearing emotions to another level by incorporating the spiritual laws of the universe. And I'm so excited to be talking about how to emotionally detox and how to use this cleanse method. Sherianna, welcome to the Good Mood Show.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I'm already in a better mood.
Me too. Well, just talking with you, I am for sure.
It's already working. This is
so, and everyone listening is going to be in a good mood too. Just hanging out with us today, and the vibrations. Yeah, the vibrations we're putting out there. Sherianna has offered us a free gift, and it's called her realignment kit. If you're a subscriber to the Good Mood Show newsletter, I'll send you a copy of that kit this week, or you can go on Sherianna's website and download it. If you want to reach out to us on goodmoodshow.com and sign up for that newsletter, or on our contact page, we can send it over to you. But I wanted to get into this emotional detox. Well, first of all, what is an emotional detox?
That's a good question, and that's the question I was asking when I ended up writing that core book, Emotional Detox. And I couldn't really quite find an answer that felt complete, Matt. So I kind of did some research around it. And what I ended up doing was coming up with some core principles of what an emotional detox is. And those principles are the foundation for all of the last 4 books that I've written, which is has the emotional detox principles and then the cleanse principles, which we'll talk about in those books. So an emotional detox is based on this. All your emotions are good, so long as you process them.
I love that. I heard another podcast of you, and when you said all of our emotions are good, I was like, wait a minute, that's not what I've been taught. And then you followed it up with, so long as we fully process them. So describe that a little bit for us.
Well, they're all good, all of them, even the guilt, the fear, the anger, the anxiety, they're all good so long as you process them. And so let me just give you the other principle, and then I'll follow up on that question. So in an emotional detox, I want to be clear, we are not getting rid of emotions. What we are removing, quote unquote, detoxing, is reactions. Reactions, how I define them, is how we make the uncomfortable comfortable. So what do we do with our emotions? We minimize them, we downplay them, we hide them under the rug, we suppress them, repress them, we turn to perhaps some addictive behaviors as a way to control them. So what we're clearing is we're clearing those reactions so we can get to the third principle, which is we're not trying to get rid of your emotions, but we're trying to get to your emotions. So it's like there's layers on top of them. So I'll go back to all your emotions are good so long as you process them. Well, what it means to process is to have an experience with your emotions, and to have an experience with anything. And I know you know this, Matt, and your listeners probably know this as well. To have an experience with anything, you have to have awareness, and you have to have a sense of presence, and you can't have an agenda. I can't go in thinking, well, I got to get rid of this. This, really sucks. This feeling that I have, it's awful. And I just get rid of it. Right. And that's kind of like having an agenda. That's not awareness. Awareness is becoming aware of the energy, having an experience with energy. And the best way that I can explain it is like food. So I'm constantly in that core book, Emotional Detox, bringing parallels with food. So with food, if you have pesticides on your food, we might look at those as similar to as reactions on our emotions. It's not that the food isn't good, but it's not as good as it could be, as nourishing, if those pesticides were not on it. So if the food is organic, if it's raw, if it's pure, if it's untampered with, we're going to get quite a bit of nourishment from that food. It's the same thing with emotions. If the emotions are pure, they're raw, they're vulnerable, and they're not poured on with a lot of emotional reactivity or reactions or coping skills or narratives and stories, then they too are good for us. So again, we're not getting rid of your emotions. And I want to be clear, because I know there's a lot of messaging, even in the healing world, Matt. And I've been trained in healing. I call myself an energy healer. And I was trained like that. And I was heavily trained. Oh, you got to get rid of this and you got to get rid of that. And it wasn't until I went through my own emotional crisis and I started to dive in the research, and I thought, this doesn't make any sense to me. If I say to myself, I got to get rid of this emotion, I'm going to be here for the rest of my life.
Or you won't be alive, right? This is
exactly. Yeah.
This is one of the things I say about anger, is that the only people that never, ever get angry live in the cemeteries. Because that's just, it's an emotion that we're going to experience so long as we're alive. And I read a book a long time ago called Never Get Angry Again. And I thought that was the goal of life, was just to experience a life where I never have to experience anger, that unpleasant emotion of anger. If I could just never experience that, then my life would be perfect. Or yeah, if I could just get rid of all of this guilt, I was guilted and shamed when I was younger. If I could just clear all of that out, I'll never have to feel guilty or shameful again. And I'm with you that that's not reality. That there's a healthy form of guilt. It can guide us and show us maybe where we're not proud of the way we acted. And if I don't want to live in it though, and I definitely don't want to stuff it down into my energy system and then have it cause problems. So that's why I was so excited to talk with you about emotional detox and how to fully feel these emotions with presence. And I like that you go on to presence too. Just last night I was reading some excerpts from The Power of Now, and the chapter I was reading was Eckhart was talking about the pain body. And he was saying, if you start to storytell about what you're feeling, the pain body can totally consume you and take you over. However, the pain body cannot survive in the light of your presence. It will totally dissolve.
So true. That's a beautiful quote. I love his work. You're going to get a kick out of this, Matt. So all of this can get very confusing, and people listening might be like, okay, well, wait a minute. I'm supposed to feel everything. I get it. But I know I was a little bit confused as I was sorting through the research and writing the book. And so here's what I had to do, Matt, and I hope this is helpful to everyone. When it comes to an emotional detox, here's the belief system that it's built upon. There's only one emotion, love. Everything else is a reaction. So what does that mean? I actually slide guilt into a reaction. I slide anger into a reaction. If I'm not feeling love, and I don't want to romanticize love, because there's this romantic love that we're all, want to fall in love kind of feel. But then when we're in love, when we feel the presence of the emotion of love, and we're calibrating at the frequency of love, we feel, and I'm sure you've experienced this, Matt, we feel very grounded. We feel centered. We have a sense of knowing and trust. And so it's a little bit more neutral is what I'm getting at. And I think there's been a lot of confusion around love. That's why we don't think, oh, okay. So I had to kind of create that belief system, which And my emotional detox that I teach is based on there's only one emotion, love. Everything else is a reaction.
And you wrote the book, Choosing Love. And I was very excited about that book as well. And so if I could expound upon where I think that you go with that concept, is that if I'm not choosing love, let's say I'm walling off my heart because I'm feeling hurt and I want to protect myself. And then in order to protect myself more, I think I need to start to attack or defend myself. And that's where the anger comes from. I'm really just closing off myself from the one emotion or the source of everything, which is love.
Yeah. And you're so right when you said before, well, do we still get angry? Yeah. Do I get angry? Absolutely. I got angry yesterday, but I slide that into a reactive category. I had a reaction yesterday. And then I, as you say, chose love. And I took some time to process that reaction, because that's what the cleanse, when we use the word cleanse, that's an acronym for the 7 steps of an emotional detox. So the first is, okay, first you got to know what is an emotional detox. And again, it's principles. All your emotions are good so long as they're processed. I put the belief system, there's only one emotion, love, everything else is a reaction. Do we have reactions? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then what you do is when you have a moment, it might not be when you're out in public, but you have enough awareness to say, gee, I got triggered today, because that's what a reaction is. We get triggered. And we get triggered, and that's usually because of some kind of unconscious memory or something in us that isn't completely resolved, or we told ourselves a story. And that's what I did yesterday. I told myself a story. My husband made this I'll tell the audience, he made a comment about my jeans. Okay. I bought a pair of jeans, and he said something, and we were visiting our daughter, and he said, "Joe, those jeans, they just seem really big on you." This wasn't even like a hurtful thing, but I got triggered. Right. And so I said something. I said, well, I can't exactly change right now. We're 3 hours from home. So I don't know why you're sharing that comment with me, because here we are. Right. And so after I walked away, I took a breath and I went back, and then he and I chatted. He was like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean, I said, I'm sorry. I got triggered. Right. So what an emotional detox looks like is, later when you have a regular practice, and I highly recommend people have that, I have to sit down and take a moment and say, and when he said that to me, it made me feel, or when he made that comment, it made me feel. And then now we're in the cleanse. So I go through the 7 steps of the cleanse, which is an acronym for mindful steps. And I move some of that energy. So what I'm doing is I'm moving the reactions, knowing that wasn't about the damn comment. There's something else there that just kind of reared its head. And so I have a choice. I can ignore that, just like people call ignoring emotions. It's really about ignoring reactions. And I can say, okay, it's over now. We've moved on. We apologized. All is well. Or I can go back and allow myself to clear those reactions, so I can return to love. Love is where I'm going to get that nice solidness, that connection, that sense of inner peace, that sense of trust. And love is what's going to bring us closer together again. So that's what I did. Because I have it in my routine, I sit down and whether it's in the evening or in the morning, and I went through the cleanse and said that there's a real opportunity for me here to clear some reactivity, and so I can get closer with my emotions and closer to love.
And once you clear it, it's cleared. It doesn't, maybe there's more to it, but everything you clear out is cleared. Right?
Yeah. Well, the new version, the upgraded version of the cleanse which is in the book Energy in Action, really brings that to light, which I know you're going to absolutely love, Matt, because in this book, what it does is I incorporate, so how I feel in my body right now is, and then you always answer that with a breath, with the cleanse. You don't answer it with a story. The book teaches you how to do that. You're deconditioning yourself from that habit. We've all been trained to answer things in our minds. You don't actually have to label or answer anything. You just breathe, let the breath do it. And then there's a mantra in there. And then what happens in the cleanse, this is the A, which is activate. And what I did with Energy in Action is connected everyone to the spiritual laws of the universe. So when I studied the spiritual laws of the universe, which is, I connected them through light. Light is one of the, light and sound. Light, sound, breath are three ways that you can process those emotions that are so powerful. And there's tons of research on it. And the cleanse and Energy in Action has light and sound and breath. And more specifically, the rays of light. So when I was writing Energy in Action, I was guided, start teaching people how this is all connected to the spiritual laws. The spiritual laws they've been around for thousands of years, and they teach us about energy, and your emotions are energy at the core of it all. I think they're designed to teach us about how to process our emotions. So as I'm processing, I use the example of the reaction of whatever that story was that I had when my husband made that comment. I probably had a story like, oh, he thinks I look like shit. I know that was like one of the stories. Oh, he doesn't like the way, whatever, something like that. And so what I'm, just so everyone's clear, what I'm processing is that reaction, releasing it, right? That story. And I'm doing that through the mantra. And then I'm adding on a layer of light. And you don't decide what that light is. I teach you how to do it. It just kind of comes through you. And as you're adding that light, a ray of light, what you're doing is you're adding high vibrational energy. So every ray of light is sourced by Creator, God, universe, whatever you want to call it. It's as pure as you can get. So when you're dealing with whether it's the spiritual laws and I combine them together in a ray of light, it is unfiltered. There are no influences on that. Kind of like in society, we have a lot of influences on things, right? We have perceptions, we make meaning about things because we're bombarded with influence. Well, guess what? They can't touch the rays of light.
Right.
They can't touch the spiritual laws.
Yes.
That's why they don't even have an author, because they were never supposed to have an author, because they never were supposed to be owned by one person.
Let's talk about those. So just to take some ambiguity away, what are some of these spiritual laws of the universe?
So in the Energy in Action, I write about 13. There's more than that. I write about 13 spiritual laws, 13 rays of light to add into your emotional detox practice. One of them is the law of oneness. That at the core of it all, we are one. What I do to you happens to me. What you do to me, we're connected, right? We're like mirrors. We know that. The law of one. And we really are, at the end of the day, we're one.
Totally,
Go ahead.
Totally agree. And we are separate entities at the same time.
Yes.
But we're all connected. And I totally agree in the law of one. It's difficult to wrap, like it took me a long time to wrap my head around it, because I'm like, well, I am my own separate expression of this one.
That's right. We're all unique. We're all individual. But when we don't have this physical body that we're in, at the core of it all, we're spiritual beings first. And we do heavily impact each other. So for example, I just had a client this morning, and because I cleanse so often, this process will really help you raise your level of consciousness. You get to the meat of everything quicker. So for example, this person was asking about health, right? They wanted to get in better shape, and they've got a poor health report and this and that. And I just was feeling this energy, and I'm thinking, and I'm thinking to myself, I know this person wants to know about their health, but there's just an energy that I'm feeling, and it's heavy, and it's making me have a hard time focus. It was that heavy and strong. It turns out this person hangs out with someone that is highly influential on this person in a not so great way. So I have to take that into consideration. It reminds me of the law of oneness, right? We think that we're separate, right? Because you're in your house and I'm in my house. We don't affect each other, but we do affect each other. We can consciously. So if we're thinking about someone a lot, if we're focusing on them, if we're tapping on, oh, I hope they call me. I hope that, we get together. I wonder what they're doing, or I'm upset with them. We get affected by this energy because of the law of oneness.
Yeah. And there's studies of people saying prayers to the water, and the molecules of the water actually changing and responding, or holding in mind hateful thoughts and then freezing the water molecules and seeing that the water turns into very different shapes when we freeze it. So if our thoughts can affect the water, and our bodies are made 70% of water, it would make sense that our thoughts can affect each other. And you were talking to this person, I'm assuming, over the phone or over the Zoom.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you could feel their energy.
Oh, it blew me over. I was like, I'm
thousands of miles away.
Thousands of miles away, not even in my state. And I'm feeling the energy. And so immediately I turned to what's in energy and action. I said to myself, okay, we cannot talk about anything until there's got to be some clearing here. There's a lot of reactivity happening, and you get so weighted and bogged down by it, you can't even see your way through it. So that's what we did. And so again, we focused on those practices and incorporated those rays of light. And before you know it, it got lighter, and then it got a little lighter, and until you can breathe again, until you can say, okay, it's like something lifts. And we have this ability. We have this, and it's not about saying, you know what, that person I'm hanging out with, they suck, they're bad, they're toxic. I know there's a lot of that around too. I got to get rid of toxic people. And I just think that again, that's another reaction. And
so you're saying not to label people as toxic. I love that too. If we're all one, then they're like us, and maybe they just have a lot of reactions, but at their core, their essence would be love as well. And
well, it doesn't clear any energy, that's for sure, Matt. I mean, it doesn't.
Yeah.
When you label and you say they're toxic, they're bad, I work with energy. It does zero. It's completely ineffective.
So I'm dealing with a hurt, and yesterday I could feel my heart beating, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sit with this hurt, and it's my wound. And it's been the one that has triggered me the most. So I'd love to get your advice on how to clear it. I'd say the biggest wound I have is the wound of abandonment. And when I was 5, my parents divorced, and I didn't really see my dad much after that. And when I did, it wasn't healthy. And so somebody who's worked with me for a couple of years said, hey, I want to leave the position and work somewhere else. And that was yesterday. And And she's done a wonderful job for us. She's been, in reality, I should be excited for her move. And yet that wound is triggered, this wound of abandonment, and what's wrong with me, and why doesn't she want to be with me? And, what did I do? And these type of things might be the story that are going under it. But what shows up is just, now I start to get the anger or the resentment to like protect myself from however I'm feeling of this abandonment. And so how would I use the cleanse method and the spiritual laws of the universe to not feel that way? I woke up today and I'm doing my meditation, I'm saying my prayers, and I'm asking to be guided by love today. I don't want to act reactively. I want to be loving. I set a good intention for who I wanted to show up as today as we worked on a transition plan for her. And then it went out the window when I got to the office. I wasn't able to stay with it, with the plan and the images I was creating for myself. So would you mind walking me through the cleanse method?
Sure. I mean, the first thing I'm getting is, I don't know if this is going to make sense to you or the audience, but I think we have to be mindful that many times when we're in emotional reactivity, and again, I'm sliding a lot of emotions under reactions, all right? Because love is the only emotion. Everything else is a reaction. And so what can happen is you have a plethora of reactions. So you might have the abandonment, you might have the anger, you might have fear. I'm just saying in general, you might have anxiety. I felt some anxiety when you were talking come in. And not perhaps this person was a little bit of a pillar in terms of, right? So that's where I'm feeling the anxiety.
Then there's fear. And then there's also, overwhelm of, okay, now I have a lot of work that's coming back to me, and I already have a lot going on. And then what are we going to do moving forward? So there's the fear and the anxiety.
Yeah. So that's what I'm sort of picking up more than anything, is that it's kind of like getting the rug pulled out from underneath you, like that stability piece. And all of a sudden there's instability and you didn't see it coming, kind of thing. Yep. So the anxiety of how this is all gonna work out. And then of course we can all relate to this. When things like that happen, it makes us less reluctant to trust the next time. If you don't take time to cleanse, then it's like, okay, I hire a new person, but how do I know it's not going to happen again? What if, you know what I mean? You get into that cycle. Immediately, what I'm drawn to with you is I coupled it with the blue ray of light and the spiritual law of correspondence. So the spiritual law, and it's kind of what you were saying, spiritual law of correspondence means everything that's happening outside of me is happening inside of you. So if you see this person decides to leave, right? It feels a little, did it feel a little abrupt to you? You had no warning.
Absolutely right.
Okay. So there's an abruptness. You didn't see it coming.
No.
So you didn't have any little cues or like feeling like things are different, right? So didn't have a warning. Is that similar to what was like when with your parents? Abrupt, no warning?
Well, as a 5-year-old, for sure.
Okay, yeah. So there's the correlation.
I wouldn't know that there were issues. I was so young. It's just, what do you mean Dad's not going to be here?
Exactly. So abrupt, no warning, didn't see it coming. We'll just tease out those three. We don't want to get too deep into it. Didn't see coming, right? And everybody listening, I'm sure you can relate. Didn't see it coming. So those are some underbelly there of the reactivity. And if we were to get too caught up in labeling the emotions, we might miss that. So the first thing we're going to do, everyone, is the C in the cleanse, which is called clear reactivity. And I'll be focusing on the ones in energy and action, because there's different variations of the cleanse based on whatever book you're looking at. So just for a second, Matt, just take a neck stretch. There's many variations. I just want you to kind of loosen up your neck and just hold it to the side. So the right ear, right shoulder, and then drop your eyes to the floor. And then bring your head back to the center. And then take the other side. So left ear, left shoulder. And holding that. Everybody's holding. Just holding it for a couple seconds. And again, I'm going to kind of be quick in this just for the sake that we're on the air. And then bring your head back to center. Take a breath there, Matt. Take an inhale. And an exhale. So anxiety is the thing that's sticking out the most. Definitely a little, do you get a little acceleration in your heart when you get anxious?
Yes.
Like that's what I'm feeling right now. I'm feeling my heart go up. So I'm starting to race a little bit. So that's okay. So then I want you to just repeat after me and just say how I feel in my body right now is.
How I feel in my body right now is.
And then breathe in. Don't answer it, and breathe and inhale and exhale. Good. Breathe in. Yeah. And exhale. All right. And having this happen in this way, say that, having this happen in this way.
Having this happen in this way.
Yeah. Makes me feel.
Makes me feel.
Breathe in. And breathe out. And breathe in. And when I didn't see it coming.
And when I didn't see it coming.
It made me feel.
Feel.
Breathe in. Good. You're doing great. It's already shifting a little bit. Do you feel that, Matt?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's already shifting. Yeah, my heart's not racing anymore. So, okay. And having it happen so abruptly, I feel like that the abruptness is significant here. So kind of like, again, no warning, no, this is what I'm thinking about, or just so, and having it happen so abruptly kind of feels like someone slamming the door, right? Like I gotta go, bye. So having it happen so abruptly.
Having it happen so abruptly.
Yeah. Makes me feel.
Makes me feel.
And then just breathe in. And breathe out. And sometimes these things, when they happen, even if the person does it, they do it a certain way, we somehow can feel a little disrespected or dishonored, or, it would have been nice to have a warning, right? It would have been nice to have like a 2 week, or, that's why we give 2 weeks, so people can kind of digest things a little bit, even if it's like, okay, I know I have you for 2 weeks for transition, so I can sort through this. So just for those purposes, sometimes it can feel, when something's abrupt, it can feel a little, it's intense. The intensity increases. So you and I are going to hum now. We're going to go, it's a inhale, exhale, hum. And our intention of this mantra is to transform the delivery. It's like, I get the message. You have every right to go on, right? Your parents have every right to get a divorce and do what's right for them. But sometimes it's the damn delivery, right? That really hurts and stings and can be traumatic. So I think the hum is the delivery, the way things were delivered. And we're just going to hum the approach, the delivery. It's no judgment, but we're going to hum it because it gave a little sting. Okay. And it couldn't digest things. So in the future, I'm just going to say this before we hum. The next person you hire, I want it in their contract that they have it give a 2-week notice out of respect for you, should they change their minds.
And this person did.
They did. Okay, good. So you have the transition for 2 weeks?
I do, yeah.
Okay, good. Why does it not feel like that?
All I can say is that I think it's just coming up with the old trauma.
Okay. So they gave you 2 weeks, and so you have time to digest. Are you experiencing it like the 2 weeks aren't there?
I think I'm choosing to.
I
Yeah.
think so too, because it doesn't energetically feel like you got the 2 weeks. So thank you, person who gave you the 2 weeks. That's wonderful. We're going to make sure that's in future contracts as well, because you really need that. But somehow you're connecting with it like it's done
Right.
now.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's my choice.
Yeah, it's your choice. So when we hum, thank you for that. Let's hum that belief, because it's like the 2 weeks don't exist. 2 weeks is a damn long time. I'm going to be honest with you. You know how much stuff you can get done in 2 weeks?
A lot. Sure.
A ton. You can move mountains in 2 weeks if you choose to.
Yeah. If I don't get so hurt and say, well, I'll just do it on my own.
Well, after this, I'm just saying, because after this hum, 2 weeks is like a month.
Okay.
We're on the fast track now for time spiritually. So
All
everyone's got to let go of this, minutes, because 2 weeks is like we can accomplish what we used to do in a month in 2 weeks now, energetically. Okay, you ready to hum?
Ready.
So you're going to let that go now, the fact that you think you're high and dry, because you're actually not high and dry. You got 2 weeks,
Right.
which is a lot of transition, right? Okay, so let's hum it, see what happens. So we're going to inhale, and it's hum. Before we go to the next hum, I'm going to just relate to your childhood for a moment. Did you have a time when because you said it was your parents' divorce and it felt like abandonment? Was there a time where there was where they were trying to ease the transition that you are aware of? Do you know of? Have you ever asked?
Not that I'm aware of.
It'd be interesting to know if that.
Yeah. So my mom did put me in counseling.
Okay. But in terms of seeing your parent, like the transition, so she did put you as a 5-year-old in counseling?
I think I was 6. Yeah.
6. Okay, great. Which is pretty young, but that's good for her. Okay. So let's just do, so that gave you, maybe her intention was to give you time to process this.
Mm-hmm.
She knew it would be a lot. Even though you're 6 and you're like not really there, her intention was to give you that support to process, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So when we hum, I want you to kind of take that in a little bit. Because when you're 6, you're like, okay, who's this person, right? Sure. But now that we're an adult, you were given 2 weeks and you were given some support from your mom.
Yeah, I continue to choose that it's all on me.
Yeah. So I want you to take that in, because you're not taking in what people are offering. Now that's the law of giving and receiving, right? The spiritual law of giving and receiving. So now we're going to hum one more time, and then I want you to take in a violet ray of light. And the violet ray of light is really powerful, and it's going to help you balance that giving and receiving piece. But what I want you to really receive these 2 weeks and treat it like I'm, yes, this person, but they're also giving me, right? 2 weeks. My mother gave me support and resources. I'm going to really take that in.
Great.
All right. So we're going to hum and then violet ray. Okay. Okay. Everybody inhale. And it's hum. And everybody take in. That's going to be followed with a beautiful violet ray of light to go through the crown of your head, down into Mother Earth. And think of these as frequencies. Now, the violet ray carries beautiful frequencies of transmutation, which helps to change the energy into something new. I have paired it with the law of giving and receiving. So I really want Matt to receive and take in what is being offered, not what's been taken away, not what he gave, but what is being offered. So I want him to really sink into receiving the beautiful violet ray. Violet ray, ironically, is also about forgiveness. So taking in the violet ray of light, and it's about alchemy. It's real powerful spiritual medicine. So again, everyone, we're transforming emotions through light and sound and visualization and awareness. He's having all these beautiful things that he's become more aware of, and that's creating some wonderful movement in his body. And he's really going to start to release these reactions and really take in. No wonder he named his show looking good or something. Oh, good mood, right? Taking in, because that's really, we have to take energy in, folks, to be in a good mood, right? To be happy, to be free. We got to learn how to take it. We can't judge it and be like, oh, it's only 2 weeks, right? We just say, oh, wow. But in return, I get 2 weeks. In return, I get to support and love. And so now it's I allow, Matt. And so you're going to say, I allow support.
I allow support.
I allow love.
I allow love.
I allow receiving.
I allow receiving.
I allow forgiveness.
I allow forgiveness.
I allow alchemy.
I allow alchemy.
I allow transitions.
I allow transitions.
Yeah. I allow new beginnings.
I allow new beginnings.
I allow growth and change.
I allow growth and change.
I allow energy.
I allow energy.
And I allow free.
I allow free.
Good. And then our final, so it's I am energy.
I am energy.
I am freedom.
I am freedom.
I am transformation.
I am transformation.
I am transition.
I am transition.
Yeah. I am alignment.
I am alignment.
I am giving and I am receiving.
I am giving and I am receiving.
Yeah. And I'm going to go back to connecting with that blue ray of light at the end here and the law of correspondence, and feel this realignment with this blue ray of light, because what's happening outside of you, I said, is happening inside of you. This woman is transitioning to a new job, or a man, or whomever they identify as, is transitioning to a new, and guess what? Now that you're released this reactivity, it's become very clear that you also are in transition. You may be opening up to new endeavors as well. So embrace it.
Thank you.
Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's happening. This is good. This is a very positive thing, because you're transitioning. You're going to be moving and grooving.
Yeah. And it's one thing to tell myself the story of that. The transition is powerful. It's another thing to use what you're using with these methods of light and energy and sound to actually change the frequencies in my body, to clear out what is keeping me stuck here.
Yeah. I mean, embrace it. Just be like, wow, I'm so grateful. I have these 2 weeks. I'm in transition. She's in transition. A lot of love and support around you. It's always been around you, even as a young child. Nobody likes to hurt anybody, right? But people have to do what feels right for them. And if they don't, it could hold us back, because now we have someone who doesn't feel like they're in the right fit, and that's going to affect us. Go back to the law of oneness. If we hang on to them or expect, that's going to affect them if they don't feel like this is, they can't grow.
Right. Well, my energy has shifted. Look at this. So I wasn't preparing for the last week to talk about this, since this transpired yesterday morning. I was here to talk about the cleanse method, and here we get to actually experience it in action. And my heart was racing when we started, and calmness has come over me.
And I not only do I feel calmness, just to reflect this back to you, I feel a solidness.
Well, thank you for helping me with that.
Solid. You are solid. You got this. You just got to walk around and say, I got this. We got this. And in the 2-week period, we got this. We got this. And you know what? I feel like this person would be open to even supporting you more beyond the 2 weeks. If you needed it. I don't feel like they're going to leave you high and dry. I think they're going to say, hey, if you need to call me, call me. Like, that's the energy I'm feeling.
Absolutely. No, she loves us.
Yeah.
And I wanted to show up today receiving, right? She was making it overly clear how much she wanted to support, how much she cares for us, and how much she wants to help us with the transition. Like beyond clear about her intentions of not leaving us high and dry. But I shut it all down. It's just that wound just showed up, and I wasn't open to it.
You know, I mean, honestly, now, do you feel energetically like you could even like give her a toast and celebrate? And I mean, that energetically, like that's where
1000%. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how, like I said, the story, like this morning, I'm like visualizing, hey, who do I want to be? I even had an avatar in my mind. One of my favorite movies is Jim Carrey's Yes Man.
I love that. Yeah.
And his boss that he's making all the goofy faces with, his boss is just so loving and compassionate. Jim was kind of making some mistakes at the bank, and his boss was like, oh, but I love you, Jim. Right. I'm like, I want to be that boss today. I want to be the boss that shows up and is just goofy and supportive and loving. And I wasn't able to energetically go there, even though I wanted to go there. So now that we've done this.
Yeah. And we all react, Matt. Like I said, everyone, I reacted yesterday. We all do it. We have reactions. It's okay. It doesn't mean you're a bad person and you haven't grown. Just know that it's an opportunity, and just cleanse it and get on the other side of it. Don't wait. And then you're going to be ready to rock.
So for the person listening, when they get triggered and they have a reaction, what do they do? How do they learn from you how to process these emotions in the way that we just did on this show?
Well, I cleanse with people every week in a group. I have a membership, Matt. So if people need to feel held in a group setting, it's on Zoom. It's tonight at 7, Tuesday nights at 7 for 30 minutes. And I literally energetically pick up on what I'm feeling in the group. And I do just like what I did with you. And we go through it, but it's a group. It's just the other option is they get the book Energy in Action, and there's 52 cleanses in there with the spiritual laws and light, and it's all there for you. You don't have to figure it out. You don't have to kind of be in I've written that out so people could do it. And so you have to be consistent. That's the key. You want to practice it. You want to every day. And this is the first book I actually use for myself. I will have it by my side, and I'll pick up, and sometimes I'll just open it up to a page, a cleanse, and I'll say, okay, what cleanse do I need right now? Right. And I'll just comb through it and say, oh, here I am. Here I am. I'm in this spiritual law. I need to align with this, and I'll do this cleanse. And again, what did that take? 15 minutes?
Sure.
And you and I slowly walked you through it, but if you're doing it on your own, it's going to take even less time.
Or we just keep shoving these energies under the rug and go grab a drink and forget about it. And just shut off.
You're going to go nowhere. Trust me, I did that for years.
Yeah. So let's not do it that way. Let's start to cleanse. So how would somebody reach out about potentially getting on that Zoom with you? And then I know your books are available on Amazon. Are there other places we should direct people?
Yeah, Emotional Detox is a good book to start with too. Energy in Action is going to give you the light and the spiritual laws. In terms of everything's at SheriannaBoyle.com. So my membership, I do certify people in the cleanse now. So if there's someone out there that's a coach that would like to kind of learn how I do that, I do. And I have the membership, which is really powerful.
Do you feel like everyone has the ability to reach such a level of intuition and feeling the way that you're able to feel others' emotions? Do you think we all have that ability to some degree?
Yes. I think if you're processing your emotions, absolutely. Some people do it quite naturally. I'm not sure if they're always listening to it, or they might get a little fearful and they might pick up on energy. And my husband's really intuitive, and sometimes he'll pick up on energy, and I'm not sure he always knows what to do with it. He'll just talk about it, right? Sometimes we just talk about it to each other. Like, did you feel that? Did you notice that? Did you pick up on that? Right. And that's fine, right? That we want to talk about it, but having a practice, okay, I'm going to take it, and and when I felt that, and when I picked up on that energy, and it's real, folks, you're not crazy. It's like the research shows when somebody's staring at you and you feel like, oh, I feel like someone's staring at me right now. And then you look over and you're like, oh my gosh, they're staring at me. It's real. We feel energy. You don't have to touch someone to affect them. And it's all according to the law of oneness. You saw my heart rate went up to the point where I was like, okay, we want to finish this cleanse because I got to take this heart rate down.
Something to do with that.
That's what was going on in my mind. I was like, okay, I know but I love it when it happens. I embrace it because I really get to know what your experience is like. You didn't tell me I'm anxious. I could feel it. And you don't even look at it. You don't look anxious to me at all. And that's a lot of people you don't know that inside something's going on, and we're picking up on that, and it's affecting us. So you're never going to hurt yourself with these practices. That's the main thing. It will never hurt you because we're not re-traumatizing. We're not bringing it up. We're not going into the childhood. There's a place and a time for that. And it's called therapy. The cleanse is not therapy. It's a practice. It's a mindful practice that you can use in addition to therapy or on your own.
I have just personally, of course, you've done me wonders. I can't wait to go give her a hug today. And
well, give her a hug from me too. I'm so proud of her. Tell her to kick ass. And she gave you the 2 weeks. That was so kind and loving.
I know.
It's a lot. You're going to be fine. You're going to do well, and you're in transition.
And as an owner of a company, this isn't the only transition that is in my future. So
no, that's why this is happening. Honestly, it has nothing to do with her.
My hope is that this cleanse makes all my future transitions much more peaceful, much more loving, and I'm much more open to receiving rather than just closing off and saying, I've got this on my own.
Yeah, I think you're expanding for sure. You're expanding and spreading your wings. And I would look at her as she's not leaving, she's spreading her wings. And that means you're spreading your wings. So reframe all of it. We're both spreading our wings. How exciting is that? New endeavors. new opportunities, new beginnings. Thank you for being there and letting me know you're there when I need you. What a
Sherianna,
gift.
thank you. You are a gift. I've
Oh,
thoroughly enjoyed you. I cannot wait to read this book. I read Emotional Detox and I loved it, but I love the spiritual laws even more. And so I'm so excited to read Energy in Action. And I'm going to look forward to joining some of your Zooms on Tuesday nights.
oh, that'd be so wonderful. I'd love to have you. We have a beautiful group of people, very wonderful people. And you don't have to have your camera on, by the way, everyone. You can, sometimes I'm the only one with my camera on. And I'm totally fine with that.
Black screens. You're just like,
well, sometimes you want to be in your pajamas and you're tired, and who cares? I don't care. If I'm the only one with the camera on, I'm totally fine.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you so much. And I appreciate you guys listening. I hope you got as much out of today as I did. We'll see you next week.